Hurrah! So this is a little game that I've found on Steam pretty recently, and it's a roguelite city builder mix. Now, the interesting bit is that it's more of a city builder than a roguelite, and the options menu is quite bare bones. Doesn't really have much to give you. Accessibility features are there, but there's no like advanced sort of accessibility stuff, like no color blindness stuff. FOV, which you won't need in this, I'll be honest, you will not need it. The audio in the game is pretty good, although it can get quite samey, especially if you're in the city part, building part of the game. I will start a new save because I want to show you both the early and the later parts of the game. I'll shut up during this. Alright, here we go. Bounce right into the game. The first thing you'll notice is this game is incredibly artistic. Like, there's nothing about this game that is just bad when it looks, how it looks. Just oozes artistic style. It's a game made by Massive Monster, and it's published by Digital Revolver, or Devolver Digital. I don't know them personally, I haven't played any games from them before. Although I will say, I have played Binding of Isaac a little. And City Builders I'm quite familiar with. I will let this play, because there's some voice acting here. And dead. It's very artistic, this game. You'll notice it immediately if you buy it. It's incredibly crisp in how it feels and how it looks. Gameplay's pretty good too. You know the big one. I'm gonna be a bit quiet on the start here because the exposition is pretty important. It's a very artistic game. I will keep saying this because it's incredible. Alright, here's the roguelite part of the game. Now the weapons are interchangeable, which means you'll get a few weapons over the course of the game. You start with the sword, obviously, but later you'll get knives, axes, maces. It gets quite varied. Dodging too, which Binding of Isaac doesn't have. So this is more of an action game in how it plays and how it feels. I will say, it was pretty easy to get into because it works exactly like you think it does. You move with the WSD keys, you hit with the left mouse button. There's magic in the game, by the way. It works like Binding of Isaac's trinkets does. Press right click and you'll use a spell and killing enemies will refill it. Resources are part of the game too. You'll see that later though. You'll see a lot of that later. But the combat, it's quite weird. So you can hear that it's got good feedback. When you hit, you feel like you hit. When you farm stuff, you hit the bushes and all that. There's a visceral feeling to it. You can really like feel it. But what I found is the enemies, sometimes they react how you'd expect from getting hit. Sometimes they don't. And generally, bigger enemies, they don't tend to care that you're hitting them. And it doesn't really seem to matter what kind of weapon you're using. That can throw some people off quite a lot. It means The feedback you get from hitting is sound, and it's, you see the health go down and all that. But they will just ignore you. They will just keep going. You can't stagger them at all. I found that hard to get into. I'll be honest. It was a struggle to get past. The game itself it runs fantastic. I haven't had any problems on any configuration I've tried. I will say that the roguelike aspect of the game is significantly worse than something like Binding of Isaac, which does nothing else. It's fluent and functional, but there is a part of the game that we'll talk about later that sort of makes the game a little stressful to play for people who enjoy a more casual, sort of free-form experience. Another thing I wanted to talk about, meanwhile I'm just showing you the initial tutorial more or less. As you play the game, I'll get back to what I want to talk about in a second. You'll get these people that you get to recruit. And they'll join your tribe and they'll be in your town or whatever. And you get to fuck around with them later here. So it's not this linear when you're outside of the tutorial, of course. Yep. Alright, here we go. Pop right in. You'll get coins and you'll get a bunch of resources as you complete this stuff. So here's the city part of the game, the city building aspect. Now, you get to pick difficulty here. I'll pick medium use for this, that's okay. I'll let this guy talk. The reason I'm quiet during those segments is because the voice acting in this game isn't particularly voices, it's more what they say. So here you indoctrinate people, anyone you rescue. And this is a cool part of the game. You get to kind of pick who they are. So they'll be whatever you found them as, but you can also change it depending on what you found, if you've unlocked anything, killed bosses, stuff like that. And color comes with this, and it, of course heads naturally. They also have, quite interestingly, traits, and all of them will behave quite differently. Now I've found that the traits don't matter as much as the fact of having a party member or another citizen. That part's more important than the traits. You can send them out to do stuff. Typically, they will do stuff anyway, but you can kind of dedicate them from the start a little. Another aspect of the game that I found to be quite good is that you don't have to wait for them to do stuff. You can go and just mine yourself like I'm doing now. And that's a big plus for me, because relying on the fact that it's a city sim only, I don't think that's a good idea. Which the developers haven't done. I think that's good. And as you progress here, you'll be able to build a lot more stuff. There's quite a lot to build in the game. I haven't found a way to expand the area you're in, but the area you're in is quite big, and the resources sort of respawn a little, so you do have some options to stay here for a while. And the reason I mentioned stay here for a while is the roguelike aspect is pretty much necessary to progress. You can't just stay in the village and hope that's gonna work out, because it's not. Alright, food is an important part of the game, and it's one of the reasons you need to keep going out, because obviously, as you grow, you won't be able to sustain just picking berries. You'll have to go to farms, get them automated, get your villagers automating them. So it's quite a good little system, I think. I have no problems with any of this so far. My main problem will come soon. Alright. Wants us to gather more people. No problem. Right, so this part of the game is where you get to see how it will progress. How you will progress, let's say. So the game has stages, right? 4 of them. Well, 5 of them. Count the last one. And beating the stages doesn't necessarily unlock the other ones. Because they require people, like I'm doing now. So this guy will unlock that stage for me. And if I had 5, or I think it's 6 or 7, I can unlock the next stage if I wanted, like I'm showing you here. Yeah, 7. And it's quite it's a good system. It forces you to play the same stages a little, but the stages get progressively harder as you complete them. And you don't get to fight the boss of the stage immediately. You'll do that later. You'll unlock him as you play. I'll show you exactly what I mean here. I'll do a run here on the easier difficulty. Oh, the newer game. And destroying the rocks and the grass, bones, and everything, it will get you the resources you need to build. There's also areas that contain these, which I will show you later. Another important bit that they don't tell you immediately in the game is as you progress and as you play, you will start to unlock small features that you can see a little bit of now, but it will matter later. When you kill enemies, they drop a corpse. Well, later that will be bones, which you can use for rituals, which I will also show you in a little bit. I just want to show the game at its tutorial stage, if you want to call it that. You get to see how it is to play in the game in the start, and then I'll show you a bit of a later stage. You can see how it's progressed, how it looks, and how it might look for you if you decide to buy it. This part of the game gives me like Wendigo feelings, like very thematic. I am speedrunning a little because I know that this part of the video is gonna be hard to talk over, because obviously I've said what I need to say about the segment, and I knew that already. This part of the game is the roguelike aspect, where you get to see more of this later. If you gather some berries, and you'll find a lot of this. Random little resource areas, I guess. Has no enemies in it, really. I'm burning through this. I should be clearing the grass. I should be looking around, you know. I will say, I haven't found any secrets in the game. As in, like, you know, in Binding of Isaac, you might find, like, a bombable area. You can get, like, stuff. Haven't found any of that. And I have tried to look around. I will immediately go and kill the boss to show you that it is possible to just speedrun. You don't have to explore if you don't want to. Although, it is not as punishing as Binding of Isaac is so far. Like, my main save is about 17, 16 hours in, 20. And I'm playing on a harder difficulty. Not the hardest, I don't think, but it is harder difficulty. And I don't have any problems. I can kill the bosses, I can do this stuff. I will kill a boss later to show you. Alright, here's the first boss. So this is the good part of the game. Like, the good part of the roguelike aspect is this part, definitely. Boss fights are very fun. I'm obviously not paying a lot of attention here. But I do shape up after taking 2 hits. It doesn't feel unfair, the bosses. They feel very balanced, I guess. They turn into little villagers you get to recruit. It's kind of cute. I urge you to listen to the little quips and qualms they have. It's quite adorable, I'll be honest. Alright, let's go to the aspect of the game. Customization. You find a lot of this. And it will unlock, and you can apply them to your followers whenever you want, really. I will go back here to show you another aspect of the roguelike experience. As you can see, I just took one off the 4 seals there. That'll unlock the boss for this region, and then you can kill him. If you kill him, and you beat him, you can come back. There's nothing stopping you. You can farm the area. I will show you a bit about it later. Alright, here we are. I took a long silence there because I was waiting. Right. This is the tarot card system. So think of this as passives. And they are quite different. So you have one spirit heart there, essentially. That's what that is. And then you have a chance of getting one of those hearts when you kill an enemy. Or half an heart, rather. But they'll change how your character plays and performs quite drastically. So we've talked about the options menu, we've talked about how the game performs and how it feels, we've talked about the roguelite aspect. Now let me hop into a future game, so to say. Yep, Cult of the Meal, best name ever. So, the city building gets quite advanced. You'll see that everything you see here, from the statue to the little planters to the huts, I've placed all of this. And it doesn't take too long. You see, I'm on day 19, you can imagine. Now that we've on this stage, I will tell you exactly what I don't like. Timer, okay? See, up in the right corner it says day 19. I will show you this later in more detail. Time always passes. Always. You're rogueliting, it will pass. If you're doing something in here, it will pass. So this is the part of the game that has sort of progression. Sermons will help boost morale of people. These little offerings will sort of give you permanent bonuses within the run. Could be an ability or just life. Rituals sort of change the way your... it's like sacrifices. It will give you a benefit for your people, yes. And then doctrine is permanent bonuses for your people. It's changing entire lifestyles, essentially. It's quite good. They are very powerful and very, very significant. I'll show you a sermon here. You can see what I'm talking about. Now, the sermons also allow you to level up. It's how you gain experience that continue from each roguelike experience. Roguelike run, rather. If you reach 60, you get a level up, which I will do in a little bit. After I do a run. So I'm just showing you a little more here, because this is quite an important part of the game. It will sort of advance your culture, I guess you want to call it that, your cult, quite drastically. So your people go around doing their own thing, but I'll show you a run here that's a bit harder. Because I'm on the harder difficulty and it's going to be a harder run. So these you unlock. I've unlocked the second one. And there's Darkwood. You can continue on to the past stuff. And what I'm showing you here is that time passes all the time. You can't stop it. So if you have low faith and you go do a run, that could be bad. If you have low food, you go do a run, that could be bad. So every run, they'll give you a weapon you've unlocked. And I'll show you how that works in a little bit. And there's a power as well, which I talked about earlier. You get some magic. Same way Isaac works. You get like a trinket you can use. In the left corner, you see you have 3 charges. The tombstone up in the left corner that you saw there, I showed, is tablets. It will allow you to unlock a new doctrine for your people. That's the ones that change your entire culture. I'm just clearing a little here to show you that there's actually drop in the grass. Zelda style. So this is a harder version of this area. And you'll see that it is quite a lot going on. It can get quite brutal, quite fast. And you'll see more here. The enemies don't care if you hit them. Some of them. So it can throw people off. The red shit you pick up, that's what fuels your powers up in the left corner. Get more tarot cards. You see there that you can get some harvest stuff if you don't want to. If you feel confident in your fighting and you know exactly what you're going to focus on in this run, you can make yourself a harvester and just pick up resources. It could be beneficial. Now, I want you to pay attention up in the right corner. Look at the time, always passing. And the time just vanished, but you get what I mean. It always passes. If you find that uncomfortable, if you find that stressful, I haven't found a way to slow it down and turn it off. It will be there until you get sick of the game. So I will avoid fights here and just try and get to the boss as fast as I can. Because I don't want... I want to get there as fast as possible so you can see how the bigger boss fights work. This is like very artistic when you play it. Like, it's very artistic. Let's save this poor fool. So just like Binding of Isaac or games like it, you have different hearts or different things. The black hearts deal damage, spirit hearts you can find. I don't know if they're called spirit hearts, I'm just calling it that because of Binding of Isaac, obviously. I've been tainted too. Another thing I wanted to mention is there is a strategy to save your powers as long as possible, because the bosses are quite susceptible to it. Now, there are some pretty strong trinkets with powers that leave lingering effects. So I will say there are quite a few strategies you can use. It's not like the roguelike aspect of the game is bad, but it's not on Isaac level. Although I will say it could be. Because there's an aspect of this game here that you'll find right here. This area is an actual area you can farm. If I went to the right here, I would continue this level. If I beat the boss, I get to continue in this woods for as long as I can, really. Right? It will keep going. I don't know if there's an end to that. I never reached it. But if you go into this area here after destroying this statue, you get to fight the boss immediately and then the run ends. This is like a quick way out. If you're satisfied with what you've gotten, or maybe you're not strong enough, whatever, you can try and kill the boss right now without any modifiers, I think. But then you don't get to continue the run. So this is like a quick way out. So this is Leshy. He's quite simple boss. Normally, you're supposed to kill his minions, but I've killed this guy a few times already, so I'm quite confident. Another thing I want you to pay attention to here is the enemies, they don't despawn. So this game is as unfair as you think it is. Like, he will keep spawning them until I kill them faster than he can respawn them, as you can see. So, what I'm doing now is not optimal. I don't recommend people do this, unless you want a real challenge. Which I'm not exactly adverse to. There's a bone, by the way. I mentioned that earlier. Like I said, there's a lot going on. But you can get used to the fights pretty easily. He tailors them pretty visually for you. So that's me getting a tablet, which I can then show you. That's some cosmetic you can unlock. And this, I talked about this earlier. There's cosmetics you can find, like this. And there's cosmetics you can unlock, which is quite different. You unlock them with faith in the middle. There's a statue. As well as doing the sermons every day, or talking to people, doing quests for them. Talking to your own people, I should say. Sometimes they'll give you quests. Like, I don't know, kill that follower, or make that follower eat poop. This game has a lot of poop in it. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. So I should be able to get a level here. So I'm just showing you beforehand. That's the tech tree. Yep, Divine Inspiration. So that's when you unlock things in here. And you need 20 to unlock the next step. It's not that many in the start. So there's a lot of things to build. Quite evidently. Quite a lot of things you can build. Now, I'm going to show you this part of the game. Because this is quite important. So, the crown is where you expand your abilities. I talked about this earlier. And you can use your tablets for this too. At the very top there. You'll cost one of the three. Or you can declare one of these if you can afford it. Doctrines. Doctrines. I find that they're stronger in the start of the game. Because later you have so much stuff that it kind of snowballs a little. There's a lot of aspects of your game that sort of snowballs. I realized I didn't have enough quite, so I'm just talking to someone here just to steal some more. Obviously, I've just built shit. I haven't really cared about how it looks or feels or, yeah. Now, while I'm running around, I'm going to talk about the price. It's not a lot. It's 23 euros on Steam, which is going to be different depending on your region. Now, I find that a bit on the pricey side, because this game is very long. What I will do here, though, I will show you this real quick. I'm showing you this again. This is an important feature of the game. And you will be going through this book a lot. So here, I'll show you. Call your little minions over. And now you get to pick which thing you want to focus on. Afterlife, Work and Worship, Law and Order, or Possessions. I'll pick Possessions because I don't have any. So here you can see it's quite a big change. You collect money from followers, or you can extort them for extra loyalty. Loyalty means higher favor, which means more experience, really. So I'm gonna pick money. Yeah, and I showed you there, you can back out of a choice if you click something and you're like, I don't want this. Alright, I'll just do this part as well to level myself up to show you the leveling. Which is this. Very simple, not hard at all. It's straightforward, barely any choice really. It will upgrade your life, different weapons like necromancy weapons or poison weapons or holy weapons. There's a lot of choice. The weapons don't really upgrade in damage until you upgrade them in here. So, if you're weak, you can just keep playing the game, surviving, and you will gradually level up. So that part of the game is pretty simple. It's not very difficult at all. You can stagnate, is what I'm saying. You can farm, you can stay in the same sort of area until you're strong enough to continue. So it's not like you're on a Darkest Dungeon timer. If you fuck up enough, you don't have enough money anymore, you have to restart. But that's the entire game. That's everything that I've found so far in the game. It's very good. I actually recommend this. If you like Binding of Isaac, you like City Builders, it's not going to get better than this. And you have 5 stages. You replay quite a bit. And they change difficulty-wise as you play. But that will be all from me. Yeah, I'm not going to plug myself because, you know, fuck that shit. Bang!